Thank you for joining us here on Wheel Good Time. Today we have Afiz from eRides in the UK. Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
So this is part two of our eRides special, where the first part we were talking about just their early impression, early review of the Begode ET Max. Now we're going to be shifting from that to a side-by-side comparison of the ET Max and the Leaperkim Lynx. Since you've had a chance to ride both, I'd really like to
Yes.
hear your perspective on which one is better. And so we have a whole bunch of different categories that I know that are going to be very important to certain people, and some things are going to be a lot bigger of
Yeah.
a category to someone than something else. Let's just jump into the most important thing to everyone. What's on top of everyone's minds is the power. Which one
Mhm.
would you say has better power in which regard?
I think it depends on what you're looking for in an electric unicycle. Now, they both deliver their power in different ways. Whereas you have the Lynx, it's a lighter machine. It delivers its power a lot earlier, and then maybe coming to the top end, it starts to phase out. Whereas the ET Max over here is 50 kg, is heavier. It's not gonna, it's a bit. It has a disadvantage from 0 to 20, for example. But after that, that's when the power of the ET Max then kicks in. The Lynx is lighter, so you feel it, but then you also feel that lightness becomes a disadvantage at higher top speed. That's why a lot of people complain that there's a bit of a wobble, and hence, as I said earlier, why we brought out the E-Rise lowering kit to reduce that center of gravity. Whereas with the ET Max, it already has a low center of gravity because the battery case is lower. So when it comes to which one is got more power, I think I mean, I would say that just based on numbers, the ET Max has more power. It's just a higher voltage. The motor is more powerful, um, but you will not get that power until you start moving at a
Okay.
higher rate of speed. Yeah.
So the Lynx has more power in the acceleration department, especially at lower speeds. So it has, say, more low-end torque compared to the ET Max, which has more high-end torque. Is that accurate?
That is very close to accuracy. Now, as I said, and I've mentioned this before, you can get a very experienced rider or a heavy rider, for example, where they're able to put their weight over the wheel and they will accelerate faster than someone that is much lighter on the legs.
Okay.
Um, but in terms of torque, the ET Max has torque. It's just that you need the weight behind you to access that torque. So maybe we should say which one can you access the power easier at lower speed? I would say Lynx. Which one gives you more confidence of accessing the power at higher speed? I would say ET Max.
Okay, that's fair,
Yeah.
and that'll satisfy a lot of people because I know there's a lot of tribalism and brand fanboyism that people got to have their internet arguments. So at least you can say that one has the win in some category. We've already discussed this a little bit, but the power to weight ratio, being that the ET Max is 50 kilograms, I think that's 108 ish pounds compared to the Lynx being 88 pounds. That's about a 20-pound difference, but there's the voltage difference in there also, which can affect that. Hello.
That's Kevin. He's going home. Um, well, there you go. Say hi. So
Hey,
so
Kevin.
this is So this is Kevin. This is our engineer that put together the links, and he actually put the battery inside. He's more of a technical part of the company than I will ever be, to be honest.
Well,
25 years experience.
thank you
So there you
for tearing it apart, putting it together, and giving it a close eyeballing, so the rest of the world knows how wonderful of a machine this is.
yeah, exactly.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, what do you, Kevin? I'll just grab Kevin for like just 1 minute over here. If I can just interview him, just give me the first. So in terms of the build quality, obviously I can see it, I can touch it, but you understand the build quality from the internals from both wheels. Lynx, which you've seen, you've put that together as well, and also the ET Max. What do you think are the advantage of each and the disadvantage of each, if there's any?
They they seem to use the same material. So in terms of design, is it really is how it's going to last. So time will tell. But in terms of the design and quality, they are pretty good.
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
Especially coming from Begode as well. Begode has kind of stepped up. That's what you were telling me, really? You're kind of surprised.
That's right. The only difference is the Begode, they use a smaller M screw than the Lynx. The screws are much meatier.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been a lot of people complaining about the Lynx screw threads being very soft, and but you're saying that the screws in general on the Lynx are better.
Yes, because they are bigger M screws.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I think the softness comes from the alloy material used on the body of the Lynx, but the screw that they use on the Lynx is bigger. That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay.
Bigger is always.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good.
Thanks, Kevin. Sorry
That's
to
all right. How about that? So
there you go.
Have a
You got
wonderful
extra.
night.
ta-ra.
Oh, bye, Kevin. See you tomorrow. Yeah, so you get extra bonus from the engineer.
A celebrity guest.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, tell me. I forgot we were where.
we were talking about build quality, and honestly, that's a huge. That's some high praise to hear that the ET Max has similar build quality levels to the Lynx, which, as everyone tends to agree, is very high quality build. The fit and finish is fantastic on the Lynx, and yet here we are with a really beautiful machine. And it's good to hear that someone who is an experienced technician also agrees that this thing is really good and well put together.
Yeah, I mean, is there room for improvement? Of course. I mean, there's some things that I've noticed. One or two things I noticed. I'm going to feed back to them, but I wouldn't say they're deal breakers. You know, we've me included privately. I don't like to go on social media and bash other manufacturers because I understand how hard it is to build stuff, and we build the most simple stuff, and they actually have to build the entire wheel. But privately, I have given Begode some air bashing over the years.
Mhm.
So we have to give them praise when there's praise to be given.
Yeah.
So is it the best? No, of course not. I mean, there is InMotion still. There's that level that I still believe InMotion in terms of build quality, attention to detail, apps, every single thing as a package. InMotion is still leading that, but Begode has definitely stepped up in my book, especially with this. And I hope some of this does trickle down to some of their wheels going forward.
Okay. So, in terms of stability at speed, which one would you say is better, especially for someone who's trying to go, say, 45 miles an hour, or even a racer on an asphalt track? Which one would you say is going to be more stable when you're really moving?
Okay, so stability at speed going on a straight line, ET Max.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking. If you're talking about a circuit, as in a race circuit, the lightness of the of the Lynx will still, just common sense, will still win out
Okay.
over the ET Max. Only ET Max has got that bulk behind it.
Okay.
The ET Max, I was thinking of an analogy a couple of days ago, how to describe both wheels. If the Lynx is a Porsche GT3, then the ET Max is a Nissan GTR. That is the closest in terms of cars. I mean, if there's any car guys watching this, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. The GTR is not as light or as exotic as the Porsches, but it moves and it hides its bulk very well.
Okay.
But but obviously the Porsche will always beat it on a racetrack. But
Right.
on street in Tokyo or whatever.
Yeah.
GTR is the king.
Now that we've discussed a bit of the build quality, which one can take more of a beating, in your opinion, especially if one was to take it on the trail or just crash it?
I'll probably say the ET Max. Um,
Interesting.
I'll probably say the ET Max is again. I've touched both wheels. I've seen the materials. The ET Max is heavier. If you drop it, the weight, will work against it. But it's just solid. It's just. I mean, it's. I cannot. But I'm almost thinking that I think Begode probably, um, outsourced the the production and the build of this wheel to a third party company, and obviously they paid for it and
Leaperkim.
everything. I'm not sure. Obviously, the design language is definitely not Leaperkim, but it's the leap in terms of obviously the EX30 gave us a little bit of a glimpse. The EX30 was well built, but the leap from the first version of the Master to this
It's
in
huge.
huge. So yeah, whatever they're doing, whoever they've employed as part of the team, yeah, keep that team or that person in the team, and yeah, or your third party vendor. Yeah, it's a leap. Yeah, in advancement and just general thought process compared to what we're used to.
Okay. So now, if we're comparing the Lynx to ET Max side by side out of the box without any accessories or add-ons or anything like that, which one is more complete and just ready to ride without any additional stuff thrown onto it?
ET Max.
Okay, and why is that?
Apart from the Velcro, which Begode should be putting Velcro in well, high quality Velcro in batch twos. That's the only thing we had to add on to this. The pedals are okay. So these are the pedals that come with it. The pedals are okay, but if you want better grip, obviously go for the E-Rise pedals. But apart from that, the pads, amazing, amazing pads, and the pads actually make it look awesome as well, and it's very functional with the toe, clip over there, the length as well. You don't need fairings, thank God. The amount of cash that most people have put on fairings, it's always the first thing you do with Begode wheels, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you don't need the fairings, you don't need the pads. You only need the pedals if you must get the best grip you want. Apart from that, is ready to go. Is like literally, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's ready to go out of the box.
And it's
From a Begode.
I never would have thought that I would have heard someone say that a Begode wheel is complete and ready out of the box. But you know what? You're right though, because like with the Lynx, it technically doesn't come with pads. I mean,
There you go.
so there all you
Yeah,
have is the little toe hook and
yeah.
the pedals on it. They're bumped pedals. They're not spiked pedals, and therefore not very good. And then on top of that, like if you want to put on your own pads, which you should, you have to put on your own Velcro as well. And
Yeah,
Begode has the Velcro there for you already on the ET Max, which is really nice. I'm shocked to be saying this, that
no.
the to be agreeing with you.
I don't like. Listen, I'm the first one to be shocked as well. Like initially, when we got this in, what we normally do is when I like something or the team over here likes something, right? And we're seeing the spec of a wheel, we say, you know what, let's fly it over, let's see what's got, right? And then I'll test it. Rafael will test it. Kevin will do the technical breakdown. He will test it, and then we'll make an informed decision. Should we stock this? How many should we stock? All that kind of stuff. Listen, this will is not a mass market wheel. We're not going to like sell loads of it the way we're selling like other wheels that are smaller. But in terms of a 50 kg wheel, yeah, I think it's probably the best 50 kg wheel I've ridden.
That's
I've
awesome.
ever ridden. Yeah. And so yeah, I am shocked as well. When I put out the box, we put the pads on, and the pads are adjustable. As long as adjustable, as in, you could change the angle as well. You can see this has got a slight angle to it.
Yep.
You can make it even more, but you can see over here, there's still more space in front over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can even move this a bit forward. So hence why I say you don't really need that. You don't need fairings with this. The surface area is good enough. The height of the brake pedal of the brake pads, which is very important for stopping a heavy wheel. The angle and the sharpness and the width is nicely thick as well. So you have that support there. And it goes all the way back to finish the look of it. And it's got this sort of honeycomb space in there, so there's a bit of a flex. So it's not hard. There's a bit of a flex there, but it firms up. The more you push into it, the more it firms up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's out of the box, this one for sure.
The pedals on the ET Max, the stock pedals, not the lovely, beautiful E-Rides pedals, which are obviously far superior. But comparing the stock pedals of each, to me it seems like the Begode pedals that on the ET Max are still better than the Lynx. Is that accurate to you?
I think that's a fair assessment. Is better up to a certain limit. As I said, it's a heavy wheel. When you first start to get used to it, then it's okay. Once you start pushing it to its true potential, you will need all of the grip you can get.
Okay.
Because you have to feel connected to the wheel. And then that's when you start to see the limitation of this pedal. But is it compared to what the Lynx has? I will say yes. It's obvious. I mean, you can see it. It's not. It's just facts, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
just
real
what
spikes.
it is. Yeah, it's right here. It's in your face. So it's not about opinions. It's just fact.
Yeah, right. It's factually better. Oh, that'll make some people angry. Okay, so let's talk about the suspensions between the two. Which one is a better suspension, ET Max or Lynx, and why?
Lynx, hands down.
Okay.
Hands down, as in I'm not talking about is like hands down if you want comfort, hands down if you still want to use it for going on a track or whatever. I'll probably say the Lynx suspension in terms of usability and feel is still superior, but that's understandable. It's been used, it is being sourced from a suspension specialist. That is what they do. That's what they breathe. That's how that's their whole ethos of a company.
Right.
So whereas you have Begode, they're building their suspension in-house, right? The wealth of experience that Fast Ace has over Begode is obvious. So it's not a surprise that it is. But again, talking about facts, the Lynx suspension is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, but wait, the ET Max has far more suspension travel, but you're not really likely to use that much suspension travel being on the ET Max since it's on the road. Now, I imagine that, yes, you will sometimes potentially need all 130 millimeters of suspension travel, but really where it would theoretically shine the most is on the trail where you need all of that travel distance, but that's a road wheel through and through.
Yeah. I don't know what the thought process is when they're deciding, what the specification of the ET Max should be while they're making it. But I'm not complaining. 130, it just means there's more travel
Yeah.
to be used. And if you want to get more sag as a big person, as in someone that's got some weight behind you, once you step on there, you get some sag, but you still know there's still more travel still there with that 130 millimeter.
Gotcha.
So so that's another advantage for having as much as you can, because some people like the sag. They like to they want the wheel to kind of drop a little bit, but still have more travel. Yeah. More is better.
Yeah. Do you have a prediction on which suspension is going to be lower maintenance over time?
I believe, and this is very early, even in Link's lifespan, it's still pretty early. But I'll probably say the spring suspension from Begode, only because of my experience with the S22. That wheel breaks. Everything around on its S22 breaks, but the suspension never breaks. It's a spring suspension.
But that's a different
So
brand, though. I mean, King Song, they make a good suspension, except that their sliders are straight trash. I don't
yeah,
know if that's fair to say that, you know, that's like kind of comparing apples to oranges, in my opinion.
I'll tell you why I arrived at that conclusion. I'm looking at the philosophy in this in a type of suspension, right? So you have spring suspension versus the oil, or suspension, from Fast Ace. And the reason why I said that the spring might last longer, or most likely last longer, is because we have seen some issues with the Sherman S where there's oil leakage from the suspension. So that is the reason why. And I've not seen, as I said, the S22, everything breaks on that wheel, but that spring type of philosophy of suspension always seems to last longer than an oil-based
Okay.
suspension, especially when you consider most people buy these wheels and they want to start doing jumps on them,
Right.
and that's just the way it is. If you want to do jumps, you always go for the spring suspension. I believe you can ask Chance about that. Chance is one of the best
Yeah.
jumpers, trail riders, so he probably know more than I do.
Last and final question about your opinion. Which one has a better value at the manufacturer's suggested retail price?
Whoa, that's a massive question. That is a big question. Um, I mean, I suppose um, the customers probably wouldn't care so much because there is now this map pricing thing where everybody has to be the same price anyway. So they will get in some similar price. This is probably more to distributors out there. Begode probably has that as well, only slightly. This is not a cheap wheel at all by any means, but you expect that, right? They need to recoup some of their R&D money back.
Right.
But I'll still say in terms of value that you get for that you pay for size and what you get and the innovation and everything in there, I'll probably say the ET Max. But you know, customers out there, if you're watching this, you probably don't care because they'll cost about it anyway.
Yeah, I know what
As
you
much.
mean. And that all brings us back to the conversation about which one is more complete out of the box. And being that they are fairly similar price points, I think the ET Max is just a touch like what how much cheaper is the ET Max in your shop? In pounds.
Uh,
You don't have to use dollars.
well, I mean, yeah, we try to match the same numbers anyway, but it's probably about 100 or so
Okay.
cheaper. But in terms of what you do get
Right.
from it, um, you pull the wheel out of the box and it's ready to go. You don't need to buy any additional stuff to it, if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Um, and um, you don't need to buy fairings. Well, you don't need to buy fairings for the links as well, but you
You don't
will
need to
need to
buy a
buy
seat. You don't need to buy
good ones.
pads. In fact, I look forward to the day where I see someone that has ET Max pads on their links. That would be quite
You,
the interesting thing.
you're
I'll be
gonna
the
do
first person to do it.
sure you will. But again, just to be clear, these wheels they do kind of they do cross each other here and there in terms of the functionality and some of the specs, but they are still kind of different in some ways.
Absolutely.
This is bigger, it's more of a high speed. That the Lynx is very usable. So I still suspect most people will still buy Lynx more. Most people might still prefer the Lynx more. And this is more of a specialized wheel. Yeah, so I'll still say overall, as in if somebody wants to say, oh hey, what should you get? I'm just starting out. I only want one wheel. I'm a beginner. You will always recommend the wheel that is easier to lift, to ride, which is
Right.
the Lynx.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people, including yourself, probably would not say get the links as your very first wheel. But if someone wants to go big or go home, and they say, I plan on getting the most expensive possible wheel that will potentially suit me. Get me the fastest awesome wheel for a beginner. I personally would say that the Lynx is far better suited than the ET Max just because of that 20-pound difference and the ease of acceleration at the very beginning that we discussed earlier.
And that's just common sense. That's not even about, trying to be partial to one brand. As you can see, I'm giving as much praise as I can to the ET Max, but but it's just the truth, and you cannot deny facts, as I keep saying. But that is just what it is. Like for me, if you have to force me to buy one wheel now, which I know you don't like, it's going to be the InMotion V14 because it's now got better suspension now. They've improved it, and it's a 16-inch, and I prefer torque over high speed.
Did you say I don't like the V14?
And it's lighter. I saw a little bit of a.
No. I think the I think the V14 is a good wheel that had a botched release, and they had a dangerous firmware that they fixed. But I do believe that the V14 is a good wheel, and I think that the V14 has a bright future ahead of it. It's just InMotion needs to get the leadership needs to get their heads out of their butts and charge forward with the successful ability that the V14 has. But we're digressing. This video isn't about my opinions about the V14. But I just want to be clear. I don't hate InMotion, and I do want the best for them. I see the writing on the wall with a bad trajectory. And I'm talking about InMotion again when we should be talking about the Lynx and the ET Max. Sorry.
I feel like I'm now interviewing you. No, but we have to be clear. Before you buy a wheel, understand why you want that wheel. What do you need in a wheel? Do you want to buy for fun? You want to buy, because you live in California or in Dubai and you want to go really fast, or do you want a wheel for every day? So you need to know what your need is. Don't listen to the hype. The hype is good, gets you excited. We all like the hype. That's the reason why we're in the EUC community. And we need the hype to keep this community going, right? But before you spend all that money, know what you need. You might not need, an ET Max or a Lynx.
Right.
Maybe you need an Extreme, which is a smaller brother of this. Maybe that's
I love that Extreme.
So just to be clear that we're not forcing you to buy the ET Max.
Of course. Well, I appreciate all of the honest perspective on this. I know that you gave me a lot of facts and you kept your opinions largely to yourself, and anything that was opinionated, it was based on facts and your actual experience. So I appreciate that. I hope that I maintained some air of not being biased one way or the other, because frankly, I think they're both fantastic.
We have to be partial, because if somebody buys a wheel that's not for them, they will regret it, and they might blame you, or they might just leave the sport altogether.
Yeah.
So we all have the responsibility to be, to just state facts and let people decide for themselves.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to remind our viewers that eRides, while eRides is based in the UK, they ship worldwide, including to the United States and Canada, which was a pleasant surprise when I found that out. And eRides is the manufacturer of the absolute best pedals of all time. I have tried numerous varieties. A smorgasbord of pedals, and I am in love personally with my eRides pedals. So thank you for creating those.
Thank you for appreciating that. It wasn't an easy process, but at the same time, if you like the eRides pedals, we're also going to be releasing the eRides Max P1 and P2 gloves.
Oh yes, I heard about that. I'll be putting up a picture for our viewers so they can check that out right now as we talk about it.
Yeah, those look, even by our standards, pretty nice.
Yeah, they do look very nice. I agree. I like the wrist protection on those.
Yeah, I think the reason why we created those is because there isn't any sort of motorcycle grade type gloves with wrist protection back and forward,
Right.
as in your palm, but also have protection for your pinky, because sometimes when you fall down, people don't realize when you fall down and you're sliding and your pinky is always getting caught, because on the outside most people break their pinky on the fall, so we had to put that in there as well. I hope you like it if and when you get one.
Thank you for joining me. And for my viewers, go to e-rides.com or e-rides.us. Make sure you use the coupon code WheelGoodTime. And of course, if you haven't already, please hit that like button and the subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.